They say the beginning is always the hardest, because the moment you decide to change your life, life decides to test if you truly mean it. This is the story of Noah Reed, a quiet boy from a small town in North Carolina who dreamed of becoming something more. But for the longest time, fear held him back. Noah wasn't born brave. He wasn't the loudest in class or the strongest on the field. He was the kid who always stood in the back, the one who hesitated before raising his hand, who whispered ideas but never spoke them aloud. He wanted to create art, to draw worlds that didn't exist yet. But in a town where success meant becoming practical, art was a dream too fragile to protect. His father was a mechanic, his mother a nurse. They worked hard, and Noah loved them deeply. But when he told them he wanted to apply to an art school in New York, they exchanged a look that said everything words couldn't. It wasn't anger, it was fear. Fear of failure. Fear that their son would dream too big and break too hard. And for years, Noah listened. He tucked away his pencils, packed away his sketchbooks, and followed the safer path. College, part-time work, a routine that looked like life but didn't feel like living, until one night changed everything. He was sitting in his small apartment, scrolling through his phone, when he came across a quote that stopped him cold. It said, "Your dreams will wait for you until they don't." Something inside him cracked open. That night, he couldn't sleep. He pulled out an old sketchbook from under his bed. The pages were yellowed, the corners torn, but as his pencil touched the paper, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. It was like breathing after being underwater for too long. He stayed up until sunrise, drawing until his hands ached. The next morning, he looked at what he had created and whispered, maybe it's not too late. But beginnings have a way of fighting back. As soon as he decided to apply for art school again, doubt came crashing in. His friends called it unrealistic. His relatives laughed. His parents stayed quiet. And for the first time in a long time, Noah felt small again. He almost gave up, almost went back to the safety of ordinary. But something inside him said, no, not this time. He sold old clothes online, worked extra shifts, and saved just enough for an application fee. He sent his portfolio with trembling hands, then waited. Days turned into weeks. Every morning, his heart pounded when he checked the mail. And then one day it came. A thin envelope. Rejection. He sat there staring at it for hours, his dreams crumbling like paper in his hands. All the effort, the late nights, the hope, gone. But life has a strange way of teaching lessons through failure. That night, Noah went for a walk. The city lights flickered. The streets were quiet. He saw a mural on the side of an old building, a tiger painted in fierce colors, roaring into the dark. Beneath it were the words, "Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you move anyway." He stood there for a long time. The air was cold, but something inside him burned. He realized this wasn't the end. This was the beginning he'd been afraid to face. He started again. Every morning before work, he drew. Every night after dinner, he painted. He posted his art online, one piece at a time. At first, no one noticed. Then, a few likes, a few messages. Then one day, an email. A small gallery in New York wanted to feature his work. Noah stared at the screen, tears blurring his vision. Not because it was success, but because it was proof. Proof that beginnings are meant to be hard. That fear is just the doorway between who you are and who you can become. Months later, Noah stood inside that gallery, surrounded by his paintings. His parents came too. His mother held his hand, eyes glistening. His father didn't say much, but his smile said everything. And in that moment, Noah realized the tiger he'd been running from all his life was never the world. It was himself, his fear, his hesitation, his self-doubt. He finally faced it, and that made all the difference. So if you're listening to this, remember, every great journey starts with one terrifying step. The first workout, the first idea, the first yes after 100 no's. It will hurt. You will doubt. You will question if you're good enough. But keep going, because one day you'll look back and realize that the hardest beginning was the moment your life started to change. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about standing in front of your tiger, shaking, terrified, and taking one step forward anyway. The beginning is always the hardest, but it's also where strength is born. Subscribe.